Hello everybody, my name is Mike Cortez, and I wanted to draw my life. Now I wanted to do this for a while. I've just been putting it off as long as I possibly could because I don't know, it's really personal, I guess. So let's get started. Back in 1988, March 16th, the day I was born. I was born on an army base in Kansas City called Fort Riley. Just a note to everybody, I'm not the most professional artist, so bear with me here. I never really knew my father as a person. I was raised by my mom my whole life, but now that I was born, my brother had somebody to play with. It was just me and my brother. The only real memory I have was going to my father's house, and it was a huge snowstorm that happened. I remember being in a VW Beetle. I think the only reason why I ever remembered this house was because it was Christmas and it was snowing. This car that didn't have a heater and it was freezing outside, and there was a toy at this house. It was like a helicopter that was attached to a wire that you could fly around, and I thought it was the best toy I've ever seen. I also remember playing in the snow, and somehow, I don't remember how, but I got a huge bloody nose. Now that was probably the oldest memory that I have of anything really. Now a few years go by, and our love of video games arise. Our first game system was a regular Nintendo, but right now I'm trying to draw a Super Nintendo because that was pretty much the best system when I was younger. And at the time, being a kid, you don't realize that your family isn't around, or you don't wonder why your dad isn't around. As a kid, the only thing you can think about is what toy you're gonna get next. Now, from what I assume, years go by, and all I could remember is how many schools, school after school after school. We moved so much. Now, I don't necessarily say that as a bad thing. My mom was having a tough time keeping one place in between jobs, being the loving mother that she is. After all that, we finally settle in a house in Woodland, Washington. This is where our new life begins. I had an easy access to the high school. We had an easy access to the elementary school. I could make friends. Once again, kids being kids, you get embarrassed by your parents driving you to school. At one point, my mom had purchased a car. It was called a T-Bird, but I don't remember the year, but all I remember is that it was primer gray and it was a tank, and my mom would drop me off at school just about every day. About a year goes by and my mom meets this gentleman named Jimmy. He was an outdoors type person. He would hunt, fish, you name it, he did it. So my mom starts dating him. We move into his house. And the only room he had for me and my brother was in a camper on the side of the house because there wasn't enough room in the house. They eventually get married, and he actually renovates the inside of that building. And the thing about the place that was so amazing was there was room to play. He ends up renovating the interior of this building and creates a home, a loft for me and my brother. Time goes by and we have a new addition to the family, my little brother Josh. And then a little bit more time goes by and my little sister Alyssa. At this time, I believe I was 11 years old, and her nickname was Sunshine. At this point, we were a full-fledged family. And then, things went south. My stepdad and my mom couldn't bear each other, so they would fight every day. At least it seemed like it. At this point, I think it was 1999, because we got our first PlayStation. And yet again, a safe haven for me and my brother. A place to go to when times are bad. It was another world we could go to. A third dimension. We spent hours and hours on that thing. After so many fights, my mom gives up and we move. few years go by, we still live in Woodland, and then we finally move to Vancouver. Another school, a new beginning. Me and my older brother, we loved it here. But then me and my brother started hanging out with the wrong crowd, and things went even more south. We started getting in trouble, we started running away, we stopped caring. At the age of 13, I started drinking and smoking marijuana, doing everything we weren't supposed to do. Then my mom starts dating again, and it seemed like every other person she dated wanted to be the father figure in our lives, and I hated it. Then came along this man named Ed. He really liked my mom, and she really liked him. I had an off and on relationship with this lovely girl named Christine. The reason being is because we didn't want anybody to know we were hiding our relationship. So one day I just said, screw it, I'm gonna ask her out. And when I did, I asked her under an overpass where we were drinking and partying. I think I was like 15 at the time, and I had way too much to drink, and then things went bad. This was also the same day that I asked her. I eventually got arrested because I was on probation at the time, and I was locked up in juvenile hall. I did whatever I could after this to stay close with Christine. I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking. By this time, it was the last time I was going to go back into juvenile hall. When I got out, I made a pledge to myself. I was going to stop everything to be with Christine. She was my goal. Things weren't easy when I got home. I constantly fought with Ed, and we never got along. So then I moved to my grandmother's house, out in the middle of the woods. Finally, peace. Away from the city and away from the trouble. A few years go by, and then I move in with Christine and her family. I was in between jobs, and then I finally got to work at Jack in the Box. From there, I started my management career. I was a team leader at Jack in the Box. I worked there for about 4 years straight. No holidays because we had an issue with management. And then eventually, FedEx came along. I started there as a forklift operator on the dock. While working there, Christine became pregnant. The day was September 24th, 2013. Chloe was born at 8 o'clock at night. The first person she seen was me with her pretty blue eyes. About a year goes by, and I get promoted at FedEx. My title was Part-Time Supervisor of Operations. Now that lands me here at YouTube. I no longer work for FedEx, and I probably won't ever come back. But it's thanks to you why I'm here. I'm a creator, developer. I can be artistic where I want to be. Ultimately, I can be myself, and it's all thanks to you. I can be with my family. I can be a full-time dad, and I love it. And again, I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for liking and subscribing and commenting. My name is Mike Cortez, and that was Draw My Life. Thank you for watching.